A year ago, the whole family got pneumonia, including my 5-year-old younger brother. Everyone took cephalosporin. But on New Year's Eve, my father opened a bottle of blended white liquor. I said that taking cephalosporin and then drinking alcohol could be fatal. My father blamed me for cursing the whole family on New Year's Day. He kicked me. I had no choice but to pour the liquor into my younger brother's urinal. When my grandmother saw it, she slapped me so hard that I saw stars. She said that bottle of liquor was worth 150 yuan, and was a New Year's gift specially given to her by my uncle. My parents were also angry because they couldn't enjoy the good liquor. They called me a prodigal and threw me into the yard. Fists and kicks rained down on me like a blizzard. I was beaten until my head was bleeding, but they still weren't satisfied. To prove that taking cephalosporin and then drinking alcohol wouldn't necessarily lead to death immediately, my aunt, with my younger brother cheering, poured the liquor from the urinal into my mouth. When the New Year's bell rang at the age of 12, I died. And the wonderful story begins now. When I opened my eyes, my father unscrewed the bottle of liquor. I drank the dumpling soup calmly. I watched as my grandmother dipped her chopsticks into the liquor, and put some into my younger brother's mouth. The plump white dumplings were rolling in the pot. My mother hit the back of my head hard. "What are you daydreaming about? Quickly fish them out." I came back to my senses and looked at the dining table not far away. There was a bottle of white liquor on it. My father sat there, caressing the bottle affectionately with his hands. My mother stood behind me, scolding me while cracking open the blister pack of cephalosporin one by one. Watching my mother take out the white pills one by one, I realized that I had been reborn. Suppressing the excitement in my heart, I picked up the dumplings as usual and served them to the table nimbly. They had already taken the cephalosporin. I held the medicine given by my mother and ran back to the kitchen and threw it directly into the earthen stove. My mother stretched her head and shouted at me, "Lin Xiaomai, take the medicine. What are you doing?" My grandmother held my younger brother and knocked on the table impatiently. "Leave her alone. Whether she eats the medicine or not doesn't matter. That useless girl. It would be better if she died of illness. At least we could save some food. In fact, I already ate very little." My aunt usually worked in another province with my younger brother. She gave my grandmother 500 yuan a month. My grandmother secretly subsidized my uncle 300 yuan, and the remaining 200 yuan was used as our living expenses. Every morning, I only ate a small bowl of porridge with pickled bean curd, and then took a cornbread and 2 pieces of pickled vegetables to school. When I came back from school, I often filled my stomach with a bowl of Chinese cabbage soup. I also had to do the housework at home. I'm 12 years old now, and I only weigh 8 pounds more than my 5-year-old younger brother. Even though I ate so little, my grandmother still thought I was wasting rice and oil and disliked me everywhere. Holding 2 cloves of garlic and a bottle of vinegar, I came out of the kitchen. I tried to please my mother and said, "Mom, I've already taken the medicine. I went to get garlic for Dad." My mother rarely showed me a kind face and said, "It's good that you've taken the medicine. The doctor said that for pneumonia, one should take the medicine for a few more days. Your younger brother is just getting better. If you don't get cured and infect him again, I'll beat you to death." At this time, my father unscrewed the bottle of liquor and put a cup of liquor in front of my younger brother. "It's the new year, son. Have a taste of this good liquor." When my grandmother heard this, she dipped the chopstick head in the liquor and put some into my younger brother's mouth. My younger brother was so spicy that he stuck out his tongue and spat at my face. I didn't say anything. I wiped my face and poured myself a bowl of dumpling soup. When I came back, my grandmother and mother had already drunk the liquor in front of them. I licked my lips and looked at the liquor of my younger brother, pretending to be greedy. "Dad, can I have a sip?" As expected, when my younger brother heard this, he picked up the small wine cup and drank it all up. He coughed violently from choking on the liquor and kicked me hard. He imitated my grandmother's tone and cursed me, "You dead girl. You don't deserve it." My grandmother lovingly picked up a piece of meat for her grandson and sneered at me. "That's right. With your poor look, you don't deserve to drink such expensive liquor." I pursed my lips tightly, then held the dumpling soup and drank it mouthful by mouthful, for fear that I might accidentally say, "Even with a poor look, it's better than the ugly faces of your whole family." After scolding, my grandmother showed off to my father, "This liquor was sent by your elder brother as a New Year's gift. There were 2 bottles in total, and it cost your elder brother 300 yuan. Let's drink 1 bottle today on New Year's Eve, and we'll drink the remaining one before you leave on the 8th day of the first lunar month." My father's face turned red as he chewed the spare ribs in his mouth and nodded in agreement. I thought to myself, "Why are you nodding? You won't live until the 8th day of the first lunar month." Today, the dumplings at home were vegetarian. There were a lot of them, enough for us to eat. But there weren't many dishes, only 4. The braised pork and fried meatballs were placed in front of my younger brother and grandmother. The sweet and sour spare ribs were in front of my father, and the smashed cucumbers were on my mother's and my side. I was silent and buried my head in eating a dumpling stuffed with leeks and eggs. I didn't even look at the meat on the table and just stared at my father drinking. My mother pinched my arm hard. Are you so greedy? Staring at your father's liquor. At your age, you want to enjoy the good life. When my younger brother heard this, he swung his arms and started crying. I won't give this loser girl any liquor. I won't give her any. My grandmother quickly hugged my younger brother and grabbed my ear, pulling me under the table. You bring bad luck. On New Year's Day, you have to make your younger brother cry. I covered my ear and didn't dare to make a sound. My mother gave me a fierce look. While pouring liquor for my father, she urged, don't savor it slowly. Drink it quickly. Otherwise, Xiaosong will keep crying. His pneumonia and cough haven't fully recovered. Don't make it worse. Everyone in my family got pneumonia. My father, my mother, my grandmother, my 5-year-old younger brother and I all took cephalosporin. On New Year's Eve, my father opened a bottle of blended liquor. I knew that taking cephalosporin and then drinking alcohol could be extremely dangerous, so I tried to stop him. But my father thought I was cursing the family on this festive occasion and kicked me. My grandmother slapped me and said the liquor, worth 150 yuan, was a New Year's gift from my uncle. My parents were angry at me for ruining the good liquor. They called me a prodigal and threw me into the yard. They beat me until I was bleeding from my head. Then they poured the liquor from the urinal into my mouth while scolding me. When the New Year's bell rang, I died. Now I've been reborn. When I opened my eyes, my father was about to drink the liquor. I drank the dumpling soup calmly. My grandmother put some liquor into my younger brother's mouth. My mother hit the back of my head and told me to fish out the dumplings. I saw my father caressing the bottle of liquor, and my mother was taking out the cephalosporin pills. I realized I had a chance to change everything. I threw the cephalosporin into the earthen stove. My mother and grandmother wanted me to take the medicine, but I lied and said I had already taken it. My father was about to give my younger brother some liquor. My grandmother also supported it. My younger brother was given the liquor, and he spat at me. I asked for a sip of the liquor, but my father and grandmother insulted me. My mother gave my father some braised pork. She then told me that my father had bought a house for my younger brother in town, and there was no money for my schooling. She said I was a burden and that in their eyes my younger brother was their real child and I was an outsider. My father drank the liquor quickly. He said he felt sick. My mother was worried, but my grandmother thought it was a waste to vomit out the good liquor. My mother, my younger brother and my father all showed signs of discomfort. My mother vomited first, and my younger brother's face turned blue. My father fainted. My grandmother asked me to find help. I ran through the blizzard. The village doctor was not in, and my uncle was at his in-laws' home. When I got back, my mother was trying to go out for help. The neighbors came, but they were afraid of bad luck on New Year's Day and didn't want to help. In the end, the village chief found a van. At the hospital, the doctor smelled the strong liquor on my family. He asked if they had drunk fake liquor. My grandmother said it was a gift from my uncle. The doctor realized they were poisoned and started the gastric lavage. My mother said they had taken cephalosporin for pneumonia and then drunk liquor. The doctor was shocked. He asked me if I was okay, and I said I didn't drink because the liquor was too expensive. The doctor said I was lucky. He told the others to be given emetics. My father was in a very bad condition. My younger brother was also in a bad state. My mother was blaming me. My grandmother was crying. The doctor tried his best to save them. After my father died, my mother and grandmother were still struggling between life and death. My younger brother was also in danger. My mother pushed the blame on me. My younger brother, incited by my mother, tried to attack me but fell to the ground. My uncle came back. My grandmother and my mother were arguing. My uncle tried to find antipyretics for my younger brother, but my grandmother didn't want him to take medicine. She thought the liquor could cure my younger brother. I knew the liquor was fake, but I didn't say anything. My grandmother and my uncle rubbed my younger brother's feet with the liquor. They covered him with 2 thick quilts. But in the end, my younger brother died. My mother fainted. My grandmother and my uncle were talking. My mother was in a daze, staring at my father's and my younger brother's coffins. Mom, after we finish handling the funeral, you should drive that mother and daughter away quickly. Otherwise, the house that was meant for the second brother will be taken by Xiaomai's mother. Those things belong to our Lin family and can be passed down. You're getting old. Aren't you afraid that they'll snatch the property? It'll be embarrassing if it gets out. Don't forget, I'm your real son. If we get that money back, I'll take good care of you. If it's left in Xiaomai's mother's hands, she'll take it with her when she remarries. Apparently, my uncle guessed that what my mother hid in her arms was the property deed of the house in town. I stood quietly in the dark corner. Over the years, my uncle has been embezzling 300 yuan of my food expenses every month. That's not all. Now he's eyeing the house left by my father. When I think about it, my uncle also contributed to my death in my last life. If he hadn't brought the blended liquor, I would have had the strength to crawl to the neighbor's house for help. Since he's so greedy, none of them will get away this time. Grandma values my uncle and my younger brother the most in her heart. Now that her eldest grandson is gone and influenced by my uncle, she's at a loss. Is it really okay? Now there's talk of inheritance rights. Over the years, people in the village have come to popularize the law. There have been more and more similar lawsuits. During meals and in the fields, everyone often chats about these things. After all this talk, Grandma, though half understood, has learned a bit about it. My uncle's brows twitched and he said reluctantly, "Then we'll adopt Xiaomai. I'll raise her." Grandma was shocked. "Are you crazy? That little bitch is a jinx. She caused the death of her father in Shaosong. What's the use of raising her? My uncle blurted out. It's just a matter of changing the formalities. She'll still live with you. How can she be a jinx? Grandma was stunned. My uncle realized he had said the wrong thing and quickly took Grandma's hand to persuade her. Mom, you don't understand. Xiaomai is the only blood relative left of my younger brother. All my younger brother's things should go to her. First, we'll get the money and the house. When Xiaomai turns 18, we'll marry her off and get the betrothed gift. Grandma still looked worried. What if Xiaomai's mother doesn't agree? I knew my mother didn't like me. She only had my younger brother in her heart. But now that my younger brother was dead, after all, she was my biological mother. It would be better for me to stay with her than with my uncle. Having made up my mind, I went to find my mother. When I entered the room, my mother just sat there, neither crying nor making a scene. It was so quiet that the only sound was the crackling of the firewood. But when she saw me, her eyes lit up and she pounced on me and started fighting. Why didn't you die instead? You're the one who should be the short-lived one. Why did you make my husband and son bear the brunt of it? I tried my best to break free and scratched my mother. Because I wasn't tall enough, I scratched her neck. I used all my strength, and 5 clear blood marks appeared on her neck. After scratching her, my whole body was shaking. My mother touched her neck and when she saw the blood, she slapped her thigh. Just as she was about to burst into tears, I said sinisterly, "Do you know that you're in danger? I'm wearing mourning and smiling. I'm as thin as a bamboo pole standing in front of you." My mother was so scared that she held back her sobs. I continued, "My father is dead and my younger brother is dead. Now if you die, all the valuable things in this house will go to my uncle." My mother finally understood what I meant. "You mean your uncle wants to kill me? But killing people is against the law. Doesn't he know that? Killing oneself is not against the law. Your husband and son are dead. If you die now, 9 out of 10 people will think you committed suicide." My mother trembled and backed away. Then she tightly grabbed my sleeve, as if afraid that I would run away. "Xiaomai, you're the only one I have now. We mother and daughter will depend on each other. Mom will treat you well. They're trying to take everything from us." I asked my mother, "Mom, why did my father die?" My mother looked confused. "Wasn't it because he drank liquor after taking cephalosporin? What about the liquor? Who brought it? Do you know if there was something wrong with the liquor?" My mother suddenly realized. "You mean there was something wrong with the liquor your uncle bought? You want me to report your uncle to the police?" I nodded. "Mom, go to the town to report the case tonight. Call the forensic doctor to investigate the cause of my father's death. If you don't go, you'll end up being buried with my father." My mother was afraid of death. She put aside her grief for my father and younger brother, put on her clothes, stuffed 2 steamed buns in her arms, and secretly slipped out of the village in the dark. The next day, the family couldn't find my mother. My uncle and aunt secretly rejoiced. Grandma sat in front of my father's coffin and cursed. Damn it. Her husband is not even buried yet, and she ran away with another man. Can't she wait? Someone felt something was wrong and reminded my uncle. Her husband and son just died. Could she be the one who caused their deaths? Should we report the case? My uncle sat at the table of the funeral feast, tore a drumstick and stuffed it into his mouth, and shook his head like a rattle. Let's not think of her as that bad. She's a widow now. Even if we want to keep her in our Lin family, she'll leave sooner or later. Let her go. As long as it doesn't delay my younger brother's burial. I cried so much that my snot almost froze on my face. I slowly moved next to my uncle, poured myself a cup of hot water and asked, "Uncle, I have no father, no mother, and no younger brother now. You and aunt are my closest relatives. Can grandma and I live with you?" My uncle's face changed. He threw the chicken bones to the dog, picked his teeth and said, "You and your grandma have been living well these years. My house is small. There's no need for us to squeeze together. When we make delicious food at my house, we'll definitely invite you and your grandma. Don't worry." I sneered in my heart. Thanks to him, I couldn't even get enough to eat when my father was alive. Now that my father is gone, my uncle thought that he could easily get the property of my family, so there was no need to fight for my custody. I didn't say anything more. The neighbors around me shook their heads and sighed. They secretly said that my uncle was heartless and didn't care about my life or death. Grandma cried and cursed. After a long time, she even cursed my mother's entire family. She almost lost her breath and her throat was hoarse. As it got dark, Grandma couldn't hold on and finally went back to the house. Just then, new dishes were served at the funeral feast. The hot braised pork with vermicelli was placed on the table. At this moment, the headlights of a car lit up on the village road. My mother came with the police. The police wanted to take away the bodies of my father and younger brother. My uncle stopped them and said, "The funeral is tomorrow. We dug the grave for 3 days in this cold weather. Just be lenient." The police didn't take the cigarette he offered. "We're handling the case seriously. There's no room for leniency." My uncle was unhappy. "The dead are my younger brother and nephew. I'm the head of the family now. You can't take them away." The police weren't angry. "The wife of the deceased has reported the case. We must conduct an autopsy to find out the cause of death." When Grandma heard about the autopsy, she tried her best to stop them, saying that if the bodies were damaged, it would delay their reincarnation. Even if they could be reincarnated, they would be disabled in the next life. But they couldn't stop the police. In less than half an hour, the police bowed to my father and carried the bodies to the car. The police also asked Grandma for the liquor my uncle bought, saying they would take it back for testing. Grandma said, "The liquor left by my son was used to rub my grandson. This is the unopened bottle. I soaked some medicinal herbs in it to keep everyone warm." A policeman picked up the glass jar and looked at it. Suddenly he asked, "This liquor can't be drunk. There are aconitum in it, which is poisonous." Fortunately, no one in the village had drunk it. After confirming that no one had drunk the liquor, the police got in the car. Before leaving, the police told my uncle not to leave the village and to be ready to cooperate with the investigation. After the car drove away, the villagers asked Grandma why there was poisoned liquor. Grandma was confused. How could it be poisoned? These herbs were picked from the mountain. They're supposed to be medicinal. How could they be poisonous? Everyone was disheartened and didn't want to stay for dinner. They all went home to spend the new year in peace. The yard was empty. Grandma started crying again and slapped my mother with a broom. Her hoarse voice was like a duck's. "You slut. You ran away and now you're back. You even brought the police. Now your husband and son can't be buried intact, and you've offended the whole village. What did you tell the police? Why are they investigating the liquor? And why won't they let your elder brother out of the village?" My mother saw my uncle looking at her fiercely and said timidly, "It was Xiaomai. She said there was something wrong with the liquor, and that her uncle wanted to harm me. She told me to report the case. My uncle wanted to kick me. I pointed at him and shouted, 'Don't touch me. You're a suspect now. If anything happens to me, you'll be sentenced to 10 or 8 years in prison.' This scared my uncle and grandma, especially my uncle. His head almost dropped to his feet. After the bodies of my father and younger brother were taken away, the mourning shed and the dining table in the yard were removed. At night, my mother was afraid that my uncle would kill her, so she squeezed onto the small Kong with me. We didn't say a word. We fell asleep in a daze until dawn. The police came back with the autopsy results of my father and younger brother. They were poisoned not only because of taking cephalosporin and drinking liquor but also because of industrial alcohol. My younger brother could have survived, but Grandma didn't give him antipyretics. She rubbed him with liquor 3 times and covered him with 2 quilts on the hot Kong. All these reasons combined led to his death. Grandma wailed and rolled on the ground in the main room, saying that she had killed her eldest grandson, but she didn't mention my uncle's fault at all. In the end, the police took my uncle away. My uncle confessed quickly. He said that at first he didn't want to buy fake liquor. But when he chatted with Grandma before the new year, Grandma said that my second brother was short of money and could only give me 200 yuan a month for living expenses. So he couldn't get the subsidy from Grandma. My uncle had been taking advantage for years and was used to it. When he learned that he would lose 300 yuan every month, it was like cutting his flesh. In a fit of anger, he bought cheap fake liquor for the new year. He said he knew that the old lady wouldn't drink it and was just trying to please her. But I didn't believe it was that simple, because Grandma told my uncle that she wouldn't give him money anymore. My uncle asked me if I had secretly told my mother that Grandma had given him money, which made my mother unhappy. I shook my head. "Uncle, I never said that. It's because my father bought a house for my younger brother in town, and didn't have enough money to give more living expenses." My uncle's hands trembled. "Your father bought a house in town?" His expression was as if someone had stolen his house. I told the police all these things. I also told them that my uncle had always wanted my younger brother to be his son. So the police interrogated my uncle again. In the end, my uncle told the truth. He was jealous that my father had a son and a house. He knew that the liquor he gave my father would definitely be drunk by my father. So he got 2 bottles of industrially blended liquor, hoping to ruin my father's health and then ask my father to give his son to him. He didn't expect that my father took cephalosporin and was delayed in treatment because of the blizzard, and he died directly. My uncle was sentenced to 8 years in prison. On the day the notice came, my aunt directly sold the house and ran back to Hernangjak with the money. Our big family fell apart. In the end, only Grandma, my mother, and I were left. Grandma didn't let my mother go to work in another province. She sold the old house in the village, and the 3 of us moved into the house in town. I knew she hated my mother and me. She couldn't understand why, even though my father and younger brother were dead and couldn't be brought back to life, we had to involve my uncle. So she had to stay with us and no one could live happily. I went back to school. My mother found a manual job in town, the kind that she could bring home. Grandma watched her work at home every day, afraid that she would go out and find another man. Somehow, Grandma suddenly started treating me better. He adjusted my meals every day. For breakfast, he gave me milk and eggs, while he and my mother had porridge with pickled bean curd. At lunch, there was usually a small plate of meat dishes, a large plate of vegetable dishes, and a plate of pickled vegetables. I ate the whole plate of meat and half of the vegetable dish, and they shared the rest. For a while, I suspected that Grandma would put medicine in the food. So during that time, I didn't dare to eat properly. Fortunately, after years of being hungry, I could withstand it. Since the money my mother earned was only enough to pay the mortgage, Grandma paid for our daily expenses. But Grandma only had the money from selling the old house in the village. The house in the village wasn't worth much and was very shabby, and it was only sold for 5,000 yuan. At this rate of spending, it wouldn't last long. Later, I found out that Grandma went out to collect cardboard and sell it for money every day. For a moment, I was touched. Until one day, I accidentally heard her chatting with another old lady. Grandma said, "How could I like my granddaughter? It's just that my grandson is gone. I miss him so much every day. What can I do? I can only treat my granddaughter as my grandson. Watching her eat and drink is like my grandson eating and drinking. Only in this way can I feel better. If it's just about her, I don't even look at her." From that moment on, my heart never wavered again. At the same time, I knew that since Grandma treated me as Xiaosong, she wouldn't put medicine in the food to harm me. Although Grandma didn't really care for me from the bottom of her heart, under her care I grew taller, gained some weight, and my skin became whiter. Except for studying, I rarely thought about other things, so my grades were always good. Every time Grandma saw my awards, she would touch them for a long time. Sometimes she would say, "If Xiaosong were still alive, he would definitely study better than you." In her heart, Xiaosong was always better than me. Just like when Xiaosong was alive, he was as fat as a pig, but Grandma thought my younger brother was very good looking and would say that I was thinner than a monkey and looked ugly. Every time Xiaosong was mentioned, Grandma would always cry. After crying, she would point at my mother's working back and say to me, "Grandma actually doesn't want to live anymore, but I have to watch your mother pay off the mortgage of this house. My eldest grandson is gone, and I can't let my granddaughter carry the mortgage at a young age. Xiaomai, remember to keep this house well." At this time I would hug her with a smile and say, "Grandma, you're so kind." But I knew in my heart that she didn't really love me or think for me. She just felt sorry for the meager family property that my father had saved after working hard for those years, and the house whose owner was defined as Li Xiaosong. After graduating from junior high school, I was admitted to a key high school in the county. I went to live on campus and only stayed at home for a few days a year. At the beginning of the second semester of senior high school, my uncle died in prison. When Grandma heard the news of my uncle's death, she had a fever that night. Over the years, my mother and Grandma were like possessed. They not only didn't drink alcohol but also refused to take medicine when they were ill. But this time, Grandma had a very high fever. My mother called me and said that Grandma might not make it. When I got home, I wanted to feed Grandma antipyretics, but Grandma still refused to take them. She asked my mother to find a shaman. The shaman in the town was 82 years old and surnamed Xia. She walked unsteadily. It was said that she could communicate with the spirits and treat strange illnesses. When Grandma heard this, she kept shaking her head. Taking medicine and rubbing with liquor were the things she was most afraid of. In the early morning, Grandma still died. When the hearse from the town funeral parlor took Grandma away, I was tidying up Grandma's belongings. I asked my mother, "You did it on purpose. You deliberately told Grandma the news of Uncle's death, right?" My mother had a sullen face and said, "I've had enough." I knew that my mother had been looking forward to Grandma's death every day. But in this life, she was more timid than in the last life. So she didn't dare to do anything to Grandma. In the last life, she and my father killed me, and she wasn't afraid at all. Probably she thought that since I was born to her, she could decide my life and death. But in this life, she reported the case herself and successfully sent my uncle to prison. She knew about the law and knew that those who owed debts had to pay them back, and those who killed had to pay with their lives. So even though she hated Grandma to the bone, she couldn't do anything about it. Until my uncle died, she knew that the opportunity had come. After Grandma was cremated, we took the ashes back to the village. My uncle's grave was still new, and the villagers helped bury him next to my father's grave. There was also a small mound next to my father's grave, where my younger brother Lin Xiaosong was buried. This reminded me of my last life. After I died, Grandma said that minors couldn't be buried in the ancestral grave, and they didn't want to pay for the cremation, so they just threw me into the mountain stream. But Lin Xiaosong was also a minor, yet he had a grave. It shows that the rules are set by people and can be changed as they like. I buried Grandma next to Grandpa and kowtowed a few times. After going down the mountain, I went back to the county, and my mother went back to the town. She was very thin, and her steps were so light that she seemed to be floating. I suddenly had a bad feeling. Sure enough, during the May Day holiday, my mother called me at school. Her voice was almost inaudible, and she coughed one after another. "Xiaomai, I have pneumonia. Come back and take care of me for a few days." I said that I was about to take the college entrance examination and couldn't ask for leave. She paused and said in a low voice, "Come back and have a look. I might not have many days left." My heart suddenly tightened. It wasn't that I felt sorry for her. I heard the despair in her tone, just like the despair I felt before I died in my last life. After much consideration, I asked the teacher for leave. The teacher told me to go and come back quickly and put several boxes of Huxiangjingqi water in my bag. Recently, there are a lot of people with diarrhea and gastrointestinal colds. If you feel uncomfortable, drink some. When I got home, it was already late at night. My mother was lying in the room. Surprisingly, there were cefixime and cough medicine beside her pillow. She was even thinner, just skin and bones. I poured her a glass of water and asked why she started taking medicine. My mother said hoarsely, "I'm too sick. I can only survive by taking medicine." I put my bag on the table in the living room and turned to wash up. When I came out, I found that my mother had put several pieces of paper on the table in the living room. "Xiaomai, sign this agreement and give me the house." At the beginning, after my father died, Grandma forced my mother to transfer the house to me. Now that Grandma is dead, my mother wants the house back. She lied to me. It turned out that she didn't want to say goodbye to me at the end of her life. She just wanted to start a good life for herself. I didn't move. "Mom, do you remember what you said the day I asked you to report the case after Dad died? You said, 'Xiaomai, Mom only has you now. We mother and daughter will depend on each other in the future. Mom will treat you well. Mom will give you the house. Please save Mom.' Now that the matter has passed, do you want to renege on your word?" My mother waved her hand. "Don't say those useless things. I've provided for your studies, food, and drink all these years. I've repaid my debt to you. Besides, what you said about your uncle trying to harm me was just your one-sided statement. Maybe you were lying to me. None of you in the Lin family are good people." She coughed hollowly. "If you don't sign, you won't be able to go back to school, and you can't take the college entrance examination either." She locked the door of the house from the inside and hid the key. We lived on the 5th floor, and there were anti-theft windows. Even if there were no anti-theft windows, I didn't dare to jump. I had an old mobile phone that could only make calls and couldn't access the internet. While I was washing up, my mother took it away. My mother started crying and complaining about her hardships. It's all your fault. You made your father and younger brother drink so much alcohol and killed them. You also asked me to call the police, and Grandma has hated me ever since. She has been torturing me. My whole life has been ruined by you. I worked hard all my life to save for this house, but it's written in your name. Why? She looked at me like an enemy. You're an ungrateful wretch. You knew that Grandma subsidized your uncle every month, but you never told us. It turned out that she knew everything. She knew that Grandma and I only spent 200 yuan a month, knew that I had porridge with pickled bean curd, and knew why I didn't grow taller. But she never argued with my uncle. She only saved on my living expenses. When she couldn't save anymore, she made me drop out of school. Lin Xiaomai, don't look at me with that kind of eyes. I've done my best as a mother. I didn't just marry you off randomly. I let you study. You should be grateful. During all this time, my mother was talking to herself. My head hurt from listening and my stomach churned. I ran to the bathroom and vomited. Later I had diarrhea again. When I touched my head, I seemed to have a fever. I opened my school bag, took out the Huaxiangjingqi water and drank it. Then I tore up the agreement, locked myself in the small room and slept for a night. I felt much better. When I got up early to get something to eat, my mother went in and out of the bathroom several times. She started having diarrhea, but she didn't dare to go to the hospital for fear that I would run away. When she saw me drinking the Huaxiangjingqi water, she came over and asked, "Are you really not going to give me the house? Aren't you going to take the college entrance examination?" I nodded. "I'm not going to take it." My mother was anxious. "How can you not take it? You've studied for so many years. Isn't it for going to college?" I looked at her indifferently. "You don't have many days left. After you die, I can repeat a year and still take the college entrance examination. After graduating from college, I'll find a good man to marry and have children. If I have a daughter, I'll treat her very well." My mother was so angry that her teeth were almost broken. "You're hoping for my death? You're dreaming. I won't die." I ignored her and went back to the room, locked the door and started reading. Until I felt hungry, I found that it was already 2 p.m. When I pushed the door to go to the kitchen, I couldn't push it. There was something blocking the door. I pushed hard and found it was my mother. She was lying on the ground in front of the door of the small room, her hand reaching towards the door, as if she was knocking on the door. But she was already dead. I had been wearing headphones and listening to English, so I didn't hear her knocking on the door. I was stunned for a long time. This scene was very similar to the way I died outside the door in my last life. I stepped over her body and saw the 2 boxes of Huaxiangjingqi water on the table in the living room. She had touched them. Probably because she saw that I drank it and got better quickly, she drank 2 extra doses. But she had taken cephalosporin, and you can't drink Huaxiangjingqi water after taking cephalosporin. She escaped the danger of taking cephalosporin with liquor, but she still couldn't escape this way of dying. After simply handling the funeral, I went back to school to study. In the college entrance examination, I performed exceptionally well, and was admitted to a double first-class university. I was the first student in our county high school to be admitted to such a university. The county vigorously publicized my story. Many people knew about my experience and that I was an orphan, and they all cried. I received donations from all over the place, but I didn't touch that money. With the help of the county government, I set up a foundation for left-behind children and invested all the donations in it. I believe that with the help of the foundation, more and more girls like me will get out of the mountains and have their own blue sky.